Joining us from Knoxville, our good friend Casey K. Thanks so much for your time, sis. I know that you're typically holding it down there with Sam Squared, as the new the group there. So Sam and Sam, and you guys have a great crew there in Knoxville. How's your Tuesday in the SEC world up there?
Tuesday's good. I'm going to be heading out to Starkville this Friday for the Mississippi State game. So I've never been to even the state of Mississippi. So excited for that. Excited to see what Mississippi has to offer. And I'm staying in Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and I've never been to Alabama either. So I'm checking two states off the list this week.
You are getting like the fun. There's a lot to see in Mississippi. So make sure you don't blink when you're driving through. There's a lot to see when you're driving through, no question. But when you get to Starkville, I will say it is quite the environment. In case you didn't heard, there's the cowbell situation that happens over there in Starkville, so just be mentally prepared for that. And there's no question that Tennessee is going to be trying to do that under Josh Heupel. Kind of what's the temperature of this team right now after the win over UAB as Tennessee looks to kind of bounce back now in SEC play following the loss to Georgia?
I mean, if you ask Heupel, win's a win, right? That's what he said after UAB. So a win's a win. Obviously, they're glad to get it. I think they're kind of itching for that big win over a team. Obviously, they had Syracuse to kick off the year, but definitely looking to get a first SEC win under their belt after that devastating loss to Georgia. I think the environment of the team is fantastic. I feel like you just feel it rather than last year. It kind of felt like something was wrong and we weren't necessarily sure what that was off because, they finished 9-3 in the regular season. You go to a playoff game. It seems, looking at the record, looking at the scores that everything was fine, but you could tell maybe there was something a little bit off with the players and the chemistry. And this year is just worlds different. And I think we're seeing that unfold. And I think a lot of it has to do with Joey Aguilar really at the helm of this offense.
How's the preparation been this week? Because I feel like every other season, especially last year, Mississippi State was that look over and prepare for your next week's opponent because that was a guaranteed win. Now it's a really confident Bulldog football team that has won, 100 times, 100% more games than they won a year ago. How's this week been knowing that Mississippi State is really confident and you're going into their building?
I think that Tennessee just has kind of the mindset that no matter who they're going to face, they're going to give it their absolute all, and they're not going to back down to anyone. I think, you look at a team that lost 8 straight, now 9 straight against Georgia, but going into that matchup with the Bulldogs, another Bulldogs team, there was no hesitation. There was no, we can't do this. And I think if they can be like that against a team that they've lost to 8 years in a row, it's going to be no different with any other team. I think that the one concern going into this one is the fact that they're playing on the road. Josh Heupel has not been great in road games over the last 4 years. He's 12-11 in road games at the end of the 2024 season. So basically 500 on the road. He has struggled. He's lost to Georgia. He's lost to Bama. He's lost to Arkansas. He's lost to a lot of SEC teams on the road. And I think that would be my main concern going into this one, knowing that any environment in the SEC is going to be challenging. I think we can look at Oklahoma last year and view that as a positive that he was able to go in there. Obviously, that had a little bit more weight with his history with Oklahoma, but to be able to go into a dominant environment on the road and win. And that was one of the only examples that we have of that with him playing on the road against a tough opponent in the SEC. I think that gives you confidence, but I think it's always going to be a concern until Heupel gets a significant season where he's winning consistently on the road.
Casey, as much as I really love to hear you talk about Tennessee, your guest has made an appearance there in the background of this shot. And so I have to at least ask who it is that, because you have your blurred background on the filter there, but every now and then
she's coming into it.
She's getting close enough to be a part of the program. Yep, there she is. Tell us a little about the guest that you have here at 2:15 on this Tuesday.
I'll try to get her to come up here. If you call her name's B. She may come up.
B, come on, B. Come here.
You want to come here? Come to Mama.
See?
Come here.
She listens to me better than my
where
dog.
is that coming from?
B's
this is this. Oh, now you can see her a little bit. This is B. This is a pit bull, so she's a little bit different than the Bulldogs that the Vols are going to be playing.
Nice.
But sometimes I think we should throw her out there, see if she could do it better than Smokey.
Yes.
Running out and running back and forth.
No doubt.
She would be awful. But I've had her for 3 years. She's a rescue. She's made 4 apartment moves. She's lived in 4 apartments with this job. So she's had quite the little life in 3 years, but she loves Tennessee. She loves Knoxville. Back when I worked in West Virginia in Bridgeport, I used to have her pick which team was going to win on our pregame show for the Mountaineers. So I put out dog bowls, and then I would have peanut butter in the one I wanted her to choose.
Oh my
God.
It was rigged. It was rigged.
Run to the bowl.
It was rigged.
It was rigged.
That's
there
amazing.
Was no way she was going to go to a bowl. She would not have gone to a bowl if there was nothing in it. She's not like a you put food down and she's on it type of girly. Like something has to be in it.
Yeah, I feel
so
that.
there was no way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did have to rig it, but I did not always pick the home team, which would have been WVU. I did make it, which one I thought that she should pick. So it was a little rigged, but it had to be for her to do it. So that was a little inside secret.
Well, I feel like there's at least one person on this set that's going to be slightly offended by that, and that's going to be Patrick, because he is a West Virginia graduate, and so I can just see him like sweating over there. He's like fuming over this. You're letting him have the dog pick against my alma mater over here.
Well, honestly, I'm gonna pick against my alma mater the rest of the year after the way they played against Kansas this past weekend. Ugh, not good.
He's switched his alliances entirely to Syracuse, who is his team growing up long time, and so West Virginia's kind of taking a back seat at this point. So if Patrick starts having his cats pick games, you can bet that he's going to be putting some catnip in whoever it is that West Virginia's playing against. So.
Hey, they beat Pitt though this year, so that was good for them.
Yeah, that'll keep Rich Rod's job through 1 year.
Oh, well,
you go ahead and just beat your rival, and then get stomped by the rest of the Big 12.
I remember a couple weeks ago when you were really fired up about that, Patrick. I was happy for you in that moment. I really was.
It was.
Back to regularly scheduled programming there, Casey. we had to kind of take the scenic route, but Joey Aguilar has seemingly really had a huge impact on this program to this point. When we talk to you and Sam Squared, it just seems as though every single time we do that there's a mention of just his impact, not just on this offense, but on the team and their excitement, their energy level, their buy-in. It's really hard to do that in such an unprecedented amount of time, because there's been he just got there. I mean, the guy literally just got there. He just got named the starter kind of at the 11th hour before the season started, and outside of the kind of the toss-up game that could have gone either way against Georgia, this team is really only a made field goal away from being undefeated right now.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I think Aguilar played pretty much the best he could against Georgia. I know you look at the stat sheet, you see 2 interceptions. However, I feel like Tennessee passed way more than they traditionally have against Georgia. They hadn't passed over 200 passing yards against the Bulldogs since 2021, so Heupel's first year. For the last 3 years, they were nowhere near that with their starting QB. So you have a guy who's passing a lot more. He's only in his 3rd game of the season with Tennessee. I don't think that 2 interceptions was that bad when he was still able to put up over 200 yards, multiple touchdowns. I don't think that was a bad showing for him at all. Like you said, a missed field goal and you're winning and you're in it. I honestly think the more concerning part of that was probably the defense on the defensive side of the ball, rather than Joey being able to put up 39 points. So I think if you're looking at anything from that one, probably the defensive side of the ball that definitely struggled a little bit more. But I think the fascinating thing about Aguilar is we've seen over and over again that whether it's a quarterback or whether it's a wide receiver, not as much on the defensive side, but really on the offensive side of the ball, people tend to thrive in their second year under Josh Heupel's program. Mm-hmm. And I mean, obviously you can speculate, what if Aguilar by some grace of God gets another year? But for right now, this is his one and only year to make a statement at Tennessee, and he is taking full advantage. He's been able to jump right in and get it done right off the bat in year 1, which we really have not seen. I mean, you could look at Chris Brazzell, wide receiver, as a prime example of it being true in that second year. I mean, he's worlds away from where he was last year. Right now is where everyone was thinking he was going to be last year. Same thing kind of happened with Jalen Hyatt as he developed. Obviously, he didn't transfer in, but as he developed, got benched and then ended up coming in that 2022 season. A year later, he was ready to go in that second year of monumental reps and of significant reps. So I think that Aguilar being able to come in and being efficient and doing what he needs to do in year 1 under Heupel's program is just different than what a lot of other offensive key pieces have been able to do. And I think it's a little bit better than what maybe we would have expected heading into this season. Yeah,
never say never when it comes to eligibility and quarterbacks. Just look at your neighbors to the west. They're a prime example of that. Let's listen to Josh Heupel, what he had to say about this trip there to Starkville.
Yeah, big plays happen because you're able to execute, right? That's going and winning out on the perimeter. It's protection up front. It's quarterback being accurate with the football. They got great speed out on the outside. The red zone efficiency, man, the quarterback being a part of the run game, the way that they're able to run the football, all of that leads to, that efficiency in that area of the field.
So Josh Heupel, of course, speaking to the Mississippi State Bulldogs offensive attack while having to slow down the big plays there for Mississippi State. Quick side note, is black officially part of the color scheme there for Tennessee? Because Coach is wearing like a black sweatshirt, and I do see like there's black on the screen behind him, but is that like actually because when Alabama fans do that, they start getting kind of a little bit shaky and upset that, hey, like fans wearing black or coaches wearing black. Like, is that highly accepted over there?
I don't think think anyone thinks anything of it, but if it's a part of the color scheme, I would say no.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone's, being like, oh no, Heupel's wearing black. What are we doing? I think it
That's what happens in
when they wear the
Tuscaloosa.
dark. I think it ties into when they're doing the dark mode jerseys around the Halloween time is usually when they bring those out. So I think honestly people just get excited about having those jerseys that they just see the black and they're like, ooh, dark mode, maybe.
That's cute. I like that. I like that. It's cute. It's very thematic.
Yeah.
One of the storylines going into that Tennessee-Georgia game was the loss of the two starting corners with Jamal McCoy and Ricky Gibson. Obviously, they gave up 44. I don't know how much of that was the backups that were in. How has that defense really prepared and really shifted going into this week against another attack that can make big plays, as Heupel just said?
Yeah, obviously, if you look at the defense over the last few years, definitely looking at this year and then the last two, this would be what you think right now is probably the worst out of those three. Not saying that they're bad, just saying that the last 2 years were kind of phenomenal, right? They went on that streak last year where they didn't allow a single touchdown for a stretch of games in the SEC. Like, they were out of this world. And you look at this year and it's a lot of young guys. You look at that. In my mind, against Georgia, you had 3 big opportunities to quite literally not lose. Not even win, but to not lose. You could have stopped the touchdown that was thrown on 4th down. You could have stopped the 2-point, and you could have kicked a field goal and made it. Obviously, we're not blaming Max Gilbert, but that was the 3rd one. So I think you look at that touchdown that was in the end zone. You got Ty Redmond, a freshman, who was supposed to be guarding that one on the secondary, and, makes an insane catch. And then secondary, takes the hit, takes the ball. Same thing. They go to the other corner where Colton Hood is supposed to be doing his job for the 2-point. And, that one gets caught too. So I think that they're trying to rope these young guys in while also trying to get Ricky and Jermon McCoy back. And I think, honestly, at this point, you probably don't want to throw them out in a game like this on the road where you're already going to be, fighting the cowbells and fighting the road game and fighting the fact that Heupel struggles on the road. So I think that it was really good for them to get a UAB performance just to get reps in. I mean, obviously 24 points is not nothing. And Tennessee traditionally hasn't given up that many against, a lower Division I school, East Tennessee last year, looking at the ones that they played, UTEP, Austin P in the past, just other D1 colleges that, aren't in the powers, aren't at the caliber. They traditionally don't let up that many points. However, I think it was a big confidence booster. I think Tennessee is big on confidence, not that any team isn't, but I think it was a big confidence booster, especially with how many young guys. Heupel said after the game that they played 16 true freshmen. I think it may have been 16 freshmen, redshirt and true freshmen in the first half, not talking second half, but he's saying in the first half of that game. So I think you're looking at a very young defense that is building confidence, but is most importantly knows that they're capable and are showing signs of being really, really solid, really young. I think they're worlds. I keep saying that. Worlds. I don't even usually say that. I'm like, worlds away. Worlds away. Anyways, the defense is beyond what they normally are in that secondary at that young age. I think, traditionally that secondary has been a place where Tennessee has struggled. And then the last year you get Ricky Gibson up to speed, you get Jermon McCoy in, and you start to take a jump. And I'm not saying we took as much of a step back as they may have had in previous years, but we definitely took a little step back because we have younger players on the field. But I think that they'll be able to improve more at an exponential rate than maybe what we saw in those first few years in the secondary, because that's really been an area for Tennessee that really hasn't dominated defensively. We've had the linebackers and we've had the line really lead the charge. The secondary has definitely been the number 3 out of those 3 levels. And I think that with these younger guys, and eventually you get Jermon McCoy and you get Ricky Gibson back, it's going to be great. But right now you're just trying to get them at least up to speed to be able to have success in the SEC. So I think morale is high. I think it was great to have that UAB after that Alabama, especially with those 2 mistakes on both sides of the backfield that happened late in the game against Georgia. So I think that they'll be in a good place. We'll just have to see how these freshmen can do playing in a true road environment.
No doubt. Before we let you go, listen, I don't know if you guys know this. I've really, taken to sports betting and really paying attention to the lines, how things have moved, things of that nature. And much is being made of how this game opened at 9.5 points, now down to 7.5.
Yep.
What does that tell you?
It tells me the pro bettors are saying, hey, there's some value at 9.5 points. These two teams are not around 9.5 points apart. You're getting a lot of money in on Mississippi State. And because it's early in the week, that's not your average Joes out there. Your average Joes put bets in on Friday nights when they're having, martinis and drinks with their friends.
They're Patrick.
He's
the average Joe.
Saturday morning. So the line movement is telling you that the pro bettors really like Mississippi State at that number. Now it's sitting right at 7.5, which is really interesting to see if it comes back the other way.
That half, man, that half will get you.
It will.
Because that half would have gotten me a win. I didn't even know it, but it would have gotten me a win because I really did think Tennessee was gonna pull it off against Georgia. They didn't, but
that's right.
In some capacity and how the betting lines actually work, I would have won. But Casey, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it, ma'am.
Of course.
Looking forward to recapping your experience in Starkville. Make sure you take your Tylenol because you're probably going to need it when this one hits 000.
And let us know which one B picks.
Yeah,
we gotta get B's picked.
We need to start making this like a pretty routine segment. So we would like the video on a regular basis with no peanut butter. It's got to be legit.
I'm like, should we start doing it for her? We do have a pregame show sometimes, depending on where the game is airing. If it's on ABC, we have a pregame show. I'm like, should we have her pick?
I think we
should. Sam Rothman has a dog too. I'm like, should we get them both involved?
Honestly, that sounds like a party.
I love it.
Yep.
We'll see. And I'm curious if the Cowbells are worse than the Oklahoma Rifles because those definitely gave me a headache last year.
Really?
Right.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The
Cowbells
shoot them off right next to you.
I'm telling you, it has a lot to do with how the game is going. If Mississippi State is hanging in, they're not going to let up. But if it starts to fade off, if Heupel and company can pull away, then they'll probably go ahead and sit the Cowbells down on the ground for a couple minutes. But Sam, appreciate your time, ma'am, and we will see you next week.
All right, see ya. Bye, guys.
Good stuff.